Hi, I'm Rob Fontenot, lead instructor here at Coastal. Today we're going to do a pre-trip on the school bus today. So let's get started here. As we approach the bus, we'll look up underneath, make sure it's not leaning to the right or to the left, and there's no puddles, no leaks under the bus. Then we'll approach the bus and look up top. In the middle, we have clearance lights. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and clean, and they're supposed to be amber in color. Then you have caution lights on either side that are amber. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, clean, amber in color. Then you have the stop lights. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, clean, and red in color. And then we'll come down to the headlights. The headlights are mounted secure, not cracked or broken, and they're clean. And you have your turn signals here and here. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, clean, and amber in color. And here we have our hood mirrors, our hood crossover mirrors. They're mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, and they're clean. And up here we have our stop arm, our stop cross arm. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or missing. Now from here, we'll open the hood and go underneath. On the passenger side, we'll pick 3 general hoses, 1, 2, and we can use this as a hose. They're mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or leaking. The coolant reservoir is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking, is between the minimum and maximum. And then we'll go down to the alternator. The alternator is here. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or missing any parts. Back here you have your wires, which are tight and secure, and they're mounted secure, and there's no exposed wires. It is a belt-driven alternator. Here you have the belt. The belt is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, torn, or frayed, and you should not have more than 3/4 of an inch of play. And then down here is the water pump. The water pump is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking, and it's also belt-driven. And you would check the belt again to make sure it's not torn or frayed, and there's no more than 3/4 of an inch of play. And then we would go down to the turbo. The turbo is right down here. The turbo is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking soot. And then from the turbo, you would have the exhaust pipe going to the back. The exhaust pipe should be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. And then we'll go to the driver's side. All right, so we'll start off with the general hoses. You have three general hoses. They're mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or leaking. Then you have the oil dipstick, which is right here. You would pull it out, wipe it off, push it in, pull it out, make sure it's between the minimum and maximum levels, and there's no metal shavings. And then you have right down here is a power steering pump. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking, and it's gear driven. And then you have an air compressor. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking, and it's also gear driven. But also with the power steering, you have the power steering reservoir. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking. And then we have the power steering hoses. 1, 2, 3. They're mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or leaking. And then we have the gearbox. The gearbox is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking. You have the pitman arm, drag link, steering knuckle. They're mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or bent. And they're secure with this castle nut and this castle nut, which the castle nuts are secure with the cotter key right here. And then you have the bushings, which is here and here. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and they're properly greased. Then we have a spring mount here and a spring mount in the back. The spring mounts are mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or missing. Then you have the leaf spring. It's mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or shifted. And then you have underneath this airbag, there's a U-bolts, which is mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or missing any nuts. The airbag would be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or missing with this airbag mount here. Then the airbag itself would be no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. And then the shock right here would be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. Brake hose, mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. Brake chamber is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, dented, or leaking, secure with the band, nut, and bolt. Push rod and slack adjuster are mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or bent, secure at the pin and cotter key. And with the brakes released, if you shouldn't be able to pull more than 1 inch. And then we go down here to the brake drum. The brake drum is inside here. There should be no holes, no dirt, oil, or grease. It's mounted secure, and the brake shoes are not dangerously worn thin or less than 1/4 of an inch. Now, keep in mind, as we do this inspection, we're only going to do this tire on this side. We don't have to do the other side during the test, but when you're doing this in the real world, you would have to inspect all your tires. And then when we get around the back, we'll do the back axle as well, but we don't have to do them on one side. And then we'll talk about the rim on the inside and the rim on the outside. It should be seated to the tire, and the rim should be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or welded. The tire itself should be no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Should not be unevenly worn. The minimum tread depth of 4/32. Then you go down here to the lug nuts. The lug nuts are none missing, no shiny threads or rust trails to indicate looseness. The valve stem should be capped, mounted secure, not leaking. And with a pressure gauge, you would check the manufacturer's specs. Underneath this chrome plate here is a hub seal. The hub seal should be mounted secure, not leaking. And if you had a sight glass, you'd be able to check to the manufacturer's specs. Before we continue, we're going to go ahead and close the hood. We're going to lock it down on both sides. Then we'll continue down the driver's side. We'll come to the mirror. The mirror should be mounted secure. It's not cracked, broken. The mirror's clean and not cracked, broken, and nothing's missing. While we're here, we can do this marker light. It's mounted secure, clean, amber in color. And then as we come down here, we have a stop sign. It's mounted secure, it's not cracked or broken, and we'll see later that it can open and close. And we'll continue down the side. We have another light here, it's mounted secure, clean, amber in color. And we have reflective tape on the side. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, torn, or frayed, and they're yellow in color. All right, now we're gonna go under the bus. We're gonna have spring mount here, spring mounts here, and then they got one in the back. The spring mounts are mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or missing. The leaf springs are mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or shifted. And then behind the tire, there's going to be another U-bolt, which is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or missing the nuts. All right, then we're going to go to the brake chamber. The brake chamber is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, dented, or leaking, secure with the bands, nuts, and bolts. And on the side and back there is the brake hoses. The brake hoses are mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. And behind the brake chamber is a push rod and slack adjuster. They should be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or bent, secure with the pin and cotter key. And with the brakes released, you shouldn't be able to pull more than 1 inch. Then look inside the tire to the brake drum. The brake drum should be no holes, no dirt, oil, or grease, and it's mounted secure, not cracked or broken. And the brake shoes are not dangerously worn thin. And while you're in there, you can look at the inner rim, which is mounted secure, not cracked or broken, or welded, and seat it to the tire. Then you want to move out to in between the tires. The butted rims should be touching, the tires should not, and there should be no foreign debris. Then the tires are not mismatched, not unevenly worn, minimum tread depth of 2/32. The outer rim should be seated to the tire, mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or welded. The side walls are no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. And then you move into your axle seal. Your axle seal is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking. And then you touch all your lug nuts. None of the lug nuts are missing. There's no shiny threads or rust trails to indicate looseness. And then the valve stem. There's a valve stem. The valve stem should be capped, mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. And if with a pressure gauge, you check the manufacturer's specs. And then we go down here to the mud flap. The mud flap is mounted secure. It's not cracked or broken, and it's not dragging the ground. All right, and while we're here, this bus has a shock here. It's mounted secure. It's not cracked, broken, or leaking. And in front of the shock is the airbag. You got an airbag mount at the top and the bottom. They're mounted secure, not cracked or broken, but the airbag has no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. And then as we move on to the back, we'll inspect this stop sign as well. it's mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or missing, and later when we operate it, we'll see that it opens and closes. We're supposed to have a reflector here, which should be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, red, and the light up here should be mounted secure, clean, and red in color. Then as we come to the back of the bus, we have clearance lights. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and they're clean, and they're red in color. Then we have student lights. The student stop lights that are red here and here, they're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and they're clean. The student caution lights are amber here and here, and they're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and they're clean. And then we move down to the turn signals. Down here we have the turn signal, which is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, clean, amber in color. Then we have your tail light here and here, / brake lights. They're mounted secure, clean, red in color. And the same way over here, mounted secure, clean, amber in color, mounted secure, clean, red in color here and here. And we should have a reflector here and here, which would be mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and red in color. Now the door. We come to the door. As we see, we have yellow reflective tape that's mounted secure, clean, and they're not torn or frayed. And the door can open and close, and it's mounted secure, it's not cracked or broken. And the door hinges can hold the weight of the door, and they're mounted secure and not cracked, broken, or missing. And also here we have the weather stripping on the door, which is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, torn, or frayed. All right, now we're going to move around this side. Now since we did the tire on the other side, we don't have to do it over here, but we do have some parts over here, like the fuel tank. The fuel tank, we're going to open the door. Check your fuel cap, you would open it up, make sure it has a rubber seal, it's mounted secure, it's not cracked or broken, and it's not leaking. And then we would look underneath to the fuel tank itself. The fuel tank is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking, it's secure with the bands and the rubbers, and it's not leaking as well. Now on this side, you'll check the running lights as well. You have running lights there, in the middle, and in the front. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, clean. The back is red, the middle and the front is amber. All right, and now we're going to go under the bus. As we can see under the bus, the muffler is there and the exhaust pipe goes all the way to the back. We want to make sure it's mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or leaking. All right, and then you have the exhaust clamps, which is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or missing as well. And then you have the drive shaft and the U-joints. The drive shaft is mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or twisted, and the U-bolts are properly greased and there's no foreign debris. And then you have the frame running the length of the bus and cross members. They're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, missing, and they're not welded. All right, before we go into the bus to do the in-cab, we're going to do a function check of the lights. We've been doing condition checks up until now. Now, I would go in the bus and have the examiner stay back here. I would turn on all my running lights back here and ask him to check that my tail lights work. And then I would ask him to check that my left turn signal, my right turn signal works, my four ways work, and my brake lights work. And then I would operate my caution lights, my caution student lights to make sure they work. And then my student stop lights to make sure that they work as well. And also at this point, you could walk away from the bus and you would look up top and there should be a strobe light operating at this time. Then you'd walk down the side of the bus and make sure your marker lights are working up top and up front. Then we come to the front of the bus. Make sure our headlights work, our high beams work, our left turn signal, right turn signal, here and here and here, and then the four ways work. Make sure your marker lights in the top work, and then your amber caution lights, both of them work, and your red stop lights, the student lights up there, make sure they're working. And then while you're outside the bus like here, you can turn on the stop lights, and the stop signs would swing out and the lights would work. And also, at that time, your stop arm would also swing out to see and check that it works. Now we're ready to go into the bus. All right, now we're going to come up to the door and make sure the door is mounted secure, it's not cracked, broken. The hinges hold the weight of the door, and it can open and close. Make sure we check the weather stripping, make sure it's mounted secure, not torn or frayed. Then while we're coming into the bus, we'll check this light as well, make sure it's mounted secure, clean, and it works. We'll check our entry handle, make sure it's mounted secure, it's not cracked or broken. And the steps, they're mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or missing. And they're clean. And as we walk into the bus, I would open up this here, and we have a first aid kit. Make sure it's the first aid kit is secure and in place. And then we should also have the body fluid kit as well. And then we have a fire extinguisher. It's mounted secure, not cracked, broken, and fully charged. And then we should have spare fuses in here. And then here, we're going to have our red reflective triangles. And then before I go to the back of the bus, we'll turn the key to have power on, and that'll help us later check the thing. So we're going to walk to the back, and we're going to check our seats. Make sure our seats are mounted secure, not torn or frayed. We'll check every seat as you walk back. Every seat. Every seat. Until we get to the back of the bus. And when we get to the back of the bus, we're going to check our rear emergency exit. We're going to open the door and close. At that point, a buzzer should sound that it's open. And then as we turn and walk forward, we would turn this latch and push up to check this emergency exit. And then as we walk forward, there's two side emergency exits here. You can open them. These are easy to open. And then you would check that one as well. And then we continue to walk forward. We'd check this emergency exit. We'd also turn the knob and push it up and make sure it works as well. And now it's time to get to the driver's seat. All right, as we sit down, we'll take the seat belt. We'll look at it, make sure it's not torn or frayed. And then we would connect it here. Make sure it's connected to the wall at the top and on the bottom here. All right, we're going to do a safe start. We turn the key, make sure our ABS light comes on and off, and then we'll start the bus. Then we look at our mirrors and make sure they're clean and that we can see down the sides, they're adjusted to us. Our windshield should be mounted secure and clean and no illegal stickers. And then we would turn our wipers on. Make sure our wipers work. They're touching the windshield and not torn or frayed. And then we'd check that our washer fluid works. Make sure the washer fluid works. And then we would come up our student mirror. Make sure it's mounted secure and not cracked, broken, and clean. And then we'd walk over here, turn over here. We'd turn the knob to check our defrost. Make sure it works. And then we would check the heater, feel down below, and make sure it works. All right, we're going to check our dash light indicators. The left turn signal, right turn signal, 4 ways. Lights on. Our high beams are working. All right, we check our gauges. The oil pressure should be rising between 20 and 45. Then we have over here, our temperature gauge should be rising 170 to 210. The voltmeter is rising to 12 to 14. And then our air pressure gauge, which is rising, should be 120 to 125. And then we check our horn to make sure that they work. Now, some buses would have battery amp gauges, but this one does not. It just has a volt gauge. Now at this point, we're going to check the doors. All right, the doors close and they open. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on my master. And as my master comes on, if the doors open, the stop signs come out. And as the doors close, the stop signs close. And then we turn our master off. Now we're going to do our brake check. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the parking brake first. We're going to hold the foot on the brake. We're going to put it in drive. Take our foot off the brake and try to move. The parking brake's held. Now we're going to push in the yellow knob. We're going to try to move forward. When we do, the service brakes work. Now we're going to put it in neutral. We're going to turn the engine off. And then we're going to turn the key to the on position to have power to our dash. Now we're going to check our the three-part air leak. We're going to hold our foot on the brake for 1 minute. We should not lose more than 3 psi in a minute because this is a straight truck or slash bus. All right, our minute's up. Now we're going to fan our brake until our low air warning comes on. Going to fan on and off our brakes. All right, now we see the light and we hear the buzzer. That's the low air warning signal. Every vehicle with an air brake system has to have a low air warning system. Then we're going to check to see if our emergency brakes work. We're going to keep fanning and we're going to watch that this yellow knob pops out. And it's out. And that's the end of our in cab. And that's the end of our pre-trip.